Evening everyone, how you all doing? Welcome back to another video on the channel. Here we are in the inner sanctum, the tunnel of St James's Park, fresh from Newcastle's 2-0 win over Athletic Club Bilbao tonight in the Champions League. Meaning Newcastle now are on 9 points out of 12. I think they're 6th in the league table, on the same points as Liverpool, the same points as Real Madrid, the same points as Paris Saint-Germain. A brilliant start to their Champions League group, and they can be very, very proud of their efforts. Before I get into the video, I've got some interesting stuff from Bruno Gimmear in there. If you're new to the channel, give me a subscribe, give me a thumbs up, leave your comments below. But look, that was just what the doctor ordered tonight. Dan Burn said yesterday he wanted the ugliness to return. He said they need the team need to start bullying teams. They need to go at them from the off. That was what we saw from Newcastle United tonight. And look, Dan said yesterday, didn't he? He said, I fully expect us to come out the traps, the crowd to be up for it, the players to be at it, and us to win. And he said that's a frustrating thing. So no doubt Dan Burn will be feeling frustrated at Newcastle's win tonight. But look, I jest. It was a very workmanlike, solid, professional display, just what was needed at the time, and another clean sheet. The last 3 games, 4-0, 3-0, 2-0, not a goal conceded, and yeah, just a decent all-round team performance. Look, it wasn't scintillating. I thought the first half, the midfield didn't look great. They were getting bypassed at times. I actually thought Bruno was poor in the first half, but I've just had a chat with him just now in the tunnel, and he joked and said, well, no, it wasn't joking, I think he was actually being serious. He sounded really sort of choked up, and he said, look, he felt like he was running around with 10 kilograms on his back, just due to the fact he's had this bug. But look, fair play to him. He's played through the pain barrier, he's made himself available, he's wanted to play. I asked Eddie Howe in the news conference about that, and it's the fact that he always makes himself available, and how he felt tonight. And Eddie said, well, he wasn't saying that this morning, he told me he felt like $1 million. So he was having a bit of a laughing joke about that, but of course that was because Bruno wanted to play, and he was trying to ensure that, or tell the manager that he was in tip-top shape to play. Now he wasn't, and he struggled, and that's why he came off. But look, I think Newcastle were a lesser team without Bruno. He definitely gives the team control and leadership and character, and you know, for him to put his body through it to play again, despite the fact he wasn't feeling 100%, says everything about him. I thought Tonali was class again, saw him get man of the match with the glass ball at the end. The way he uses the ball quickly, first touch, plays the ball around the corner, spreads it. He's got every single pass in his game, and he just gets better and better. And I've actually done an interview with Sandro Tonali in the mix zone afterwards, and some really, really interesting stuff from him and his future in Newcastle, his contractual situation coming up. That will appear in a video tomorrow, but that's getting held till then, so look out for that one tomorrow morning. But let's talk back to the game. I thought Burn brilliant. I thought, you know, yesterday he spoke so well. He was honest, he was open, it was refreshing to hear. He spoke from the heart, and he delivered everything that he said that he would, and he wanted his team to. I mean, that header was sublime. You know, the header he scored in the cup final will always go down in cup folklore. It was incredible, but that one tonight was probably just as good. I was sat right behind it. He set it right out far from the post, swerved in like a Roberto Carlos free kick right into the corner. I think it kissed the post on the way in. It was an incredible piece of skill from a header. You know, not many players can do that with their head, and a really well worked move from the training ground. Great clipped in ball from Kieran Trippier. And by the way, Trippier was excellent tonight for a guy who missed the game at West Ham, didn't travel down. You know, illness was cited by the club. For him to come in and play the way he did tonight, I just think the team are such a stronger and more reliable unit defensively with Trippier in there. You know, Emil Kraft came in, he did well against Tottenham last week, struggled against West Ham, came off at half time, but I just think the team just looks so much more balanced. He gives them an outlet, he gets forward, he's got good delivery, as we saw with the goal, and of course he's a leader. I thought he was excellent tonight. I thought he was arguably Newcastle's best player. I thought him alongside Tonali, and I thought Chow was really good as well. But I thought Trippier really, really showed his class tonight in that performance. Great crossing for the goal. Newcastle were on their way. And I think what was important tonight as well, that, you know, you scored early in the first half, 11 minutes, you scored 4 minutes into the second half, and it just strangled the life out of the Spanish club, the Basque club, should I say. It was just what was required, and I just getting that second goal when you did, it really just made it so difficult for them. One player I didn't mention there when I said played so well was I thought Nick Pope. He made a great save with his feet in the first half. Brilliant save low down in the second. I think it was with his left hand when he tipped it around the post. And look, he's having what a season he's having. Honestly, he's been. I know he was at fault for the goal against West Ham. He'll be kicking himself from Paqueta's long range free kick, but other than that, he's not made a mistake all season. He's been superb, and I think having Aaron Ramsdale there, breathing down his neck, playing as well as he did against Spurs last week, I think that is really making Pope play better. I think his distribution has improved. He's still not great with his feet, we know that, but look, he looked like more confident, I felt, with his feet tonight without being great. He made a couple of really long throwouts, and he's just becoming a better all-round goalkeeper. And maybe having Ramsdale there and watching what he does in terms of what he does with his feet and how he confidently shells the ball out, maybe that is helping. I don't know. But without doubt, he's improving. He's had a brilliant start to the season. The most clean sheets in the Premier League, I think it is, and his shot stopping really is second to none. I thought it was good tonight. I thought he just gave Newcastle a good defensive rock to build upon. What else tonight? Gordon injured, came off. I think it's that hip problem that he's had for a while now. I've got to say, from the start tonight, he tried to take on the fullback a couple of times on the outside and didn't have the sprinting power, didn't have the energy to kind of get back. Not the energy, but he just didn't have the explosive power that we see from him to get by. And I thought he was toiling a bit from the opening 10 minutes, and of course he succumbed to the injury and came off towards the end of that first half, so that's a bit of a worry. Eddie says he needs to check on him. I know he's not been producing in the Premier League, no goals or assists in 19 games, but this has been his competition so far. He's done brilliant with a goal in every game up until now, and look, you have to say unlucky for him tonight, and also he probably deserves to be cut a little bit of slack if he is carrying an injury, and that's affecting his Premier League performances, because at least he looked like he tried tonight. He wanted to play, but it was getting too much for him, and the decision was made early for him to come off. So let's see what the next few days hold on that, and whether he's back for the Brentford game. Also, Will Asula was named in the team sheet tonight, but Eddie said that they just had a conversation when he got to the game. They're unsure about his ankle, they don't know how well he's moving with it, and they felt the best thing to do was to protect it, so that's why he wasn't on the bench. And look, the lack of options was stark. It was there to see. There was no striker on the bench. Elanga played through the middle the last 10-15 minutes or so, and because Voltemad was rightly rested up. So it's really difficult when you've not got an option off the bench, a striker option, just to kind of give Voltemad a bit of a rest, and he is kind of getting flogged a little bit, you'd have to say. But what do? You have to play him because he's an outlet, and look, for me, he's done well, particularly in the home games, given the fact it's a new team, new teammates, a whole new setup for him. He scored some decent goals, and he's a confident lad. But you just need to get Wissa back in there as soon as possible. The hope, I think, originally was that he would be back for either this game or Sunday. Well, he's not going to make it for Sunday, is he? He'll be out for the international break, and now feels to me very much like it's going to be towards the end of the month until Wissa's back. And that's a blow, because he just be a brilliant option now, just to stretch defences coming off the bench. And I think, if Wissa was fit, he would have started at West Ham on Sunday, because he stretches teams particularly away from home, and he would have started at Brentford this weekend against his old team, whereas Voltemad probably suited more to the home matches in terms of holding the ball up and his aerial presence, because Newcastle get a lot of crosses into the box. But look, you're just going to have to make do without him. I still think you'll be active in January. I think you'll bring in another striker. I just don't think you can get by with Voltemad and Wissa, especially with Wissa's knee problem with his knee. I think you need a third striker in there in January. So let's see what that brings. But yeah, that was it tonight. Fairly solid performance, another 2-0 win, the same as last midweek against Spurs. It wasn't as good a performance as the Spurs one, but look, as Dan Burn said yesterday, we don't need to be brilliant in every game. We just need 7 out of 10, win the match, get the points, move on to the next game. It doesn't have to be 100 mile an hour every game. We just need to do enough to win the games, get on to the next one, and get the points in the bag, and that was exactly what Newcastle United did tonight. So they answered those calls from Dan Burn yesterday. And look, the table looks good, doesn't it? Perhaps it is going to be one of those seasons where you struggle in the Premier League and you finish mid-table, or 10th, 8th, 9th, and you do brilliant in the Champions League and brilliant in the Cups, and look, if you were to win the Carabao Cup again and go far in the Champions League, I don't think anyone's going to care too much if you finish out of the European spots, or certainly out of a Champions League spot next season. It's proven very, very difficult to do well on all fronts, especially when you've had a summer like you have with the Sandro Tonali, with the Alexander Isak situation, which clearly has had an effect on everyone involved in the club. I mean, just in my interview with the players there just now, they were voluntarily referencing it in terms of the hangover from that. So that says everything about how they feel, and without doubt, you can see that there still is some residue left over from that situation. So anyway, guys, that's it from me tonight. Good job, well done, solid performance, almost through, get a point in Marseille. And against Leverkusen, you could probably rest up the players and make sure they're all fit and fresh and firing for the Sunderland game 4 days later. Let's see what you get in Marseille in the next match. But job well done tonight, flying high in the table, and Newcastle fans going home with a smile on their faces after what has been a pretty difficult couple of days. Okay, guys, speak soon.